Welcome back. Welcome back. We here, the Noble One, and my co-host, Prime Minister, back with another installment with a special guest, Aljamain Sterling, mixed martial artist. Little bio from him. Would actually no, rather than me doing a bio, let the brother introduce himself and give a bit of a rundown of what he's doing, where he's at currently. So Aljo.
When I'm giving an intro myself, or
yeah.
Well, my name is Aljamain Sterling, aka the FunkMaster. I'm a current UFC fighter right now. I think ranked 8th or 9th in the world. Record of 14-3. Went to college, got a bachelor's degree in physical education, but decided to take my talents to the octagon, and here I am today.
Nice. That's all we needed at the start. That's all we needed. A nice little quick intro. So I've been following your career for quite some time. Been into peeping the UFC and mixed martial arts in its entirety, really. So one of the real reasons I wanted to reach out to yourself is to get into the industry itself, mixed martial arts, how you came up into it, but also just to peel back a little bit more of the layers and understand exactly who you are as a person, what are your interests, what are your likes, where did you sort of come up and grow up, and what your aspirations are. Ultimately, that strap is going to be one of them, but we just want to give the siblings them a little bit more of a broader picture of who Aljo, the Funk Master, is. So, starting it off, where did you grow up and stuff?
Well, I grew up in Long Island, New York. Lived in Roosevelt for a few years, and moved over to Uniondale, New York, which is also on Long Island, but it's pretty much a predominantly black neighborhood. Now it's a little bit of a mix between Hispanic folks and some brothers, So
okay,
that's pretty much how I grew up. Grew up around those type of areas, and just everyday grind.
Yeah.
A family of 19 siblings. I got 19 siblings.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, I got
all in NY.
Wait, is that? Oh no. A lot of us are spread out.
Okay.
But the majority of us are up here in New York.
Okay. So has I guess that's a big sibling base. Has everyone chosen multiple different sort of career paths, or is a lot of it sort of sports focused?
Kind of hard to say. Just a little bit all over the place. The only people who in my family who are really into sports that actually went the full route of playing in high school and actually playing in college were myself and my younger brother Troy. And I had one brother that wrestled in high school, but he pretty much gave it up after his senior year. He was also a pretty good, talented skateboarder. Now he raps as well. He does music with my other brother Troy, that wrestled in high school and college with me. And now that's pretty much the only athletes. We got some younger ones, some younger girls that are in high school and in middle school right now that are playing sports. It was pretty cool to see them. They're more so the basketball route, badminton, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Than the stereotypical football and basketball thing, but which is always nice for to see the young ones branch out into something else.
Yes.
So Aljo, when did you first realize that the fighting thing could be a career for yourself?
I want to say probably after my first amateur fight. I had the desire to do it. I always wanted to do one. I watched it a lot growing up as a kid, and I didn't really understand it. I just thought it was two guys in there throwing down, back in the old days for the stone ages of the sport, I guess. And I went to school with John Jones. He was there. And once he started doing it when I transferred to SUNY Cortland. And I thought we had a similar body type, similar wrestling style. And I just figured, if he's making a good run at this, he was, I think, 6-0 or 5-0. I think he was 6-0 at the time. I just decided to try my hand in it. I wanted to finish up college. He he kind of dropped out early due to personal reasons. But I made it a mission to myself to, if I went to college, I was going to get my degree. So I made sure I finished first before I took something else on. So I did that, and while I was still competing in college as a wrestler, you're not allowed to get paid to do so. So I competed as an amateur, and just got a little bit more experience. And as soon as my wrestling career was done, I made the jump, I think, to the pros, I think 1 month after the season.
Okay, definitely, man. That sounds like a little bit of a journey there. So you said you went to school with John Jones then?
Yeah, for a year. We both went to this little small school called SUNY Morrisville, and then he dropped out. I transferred. That was the main goal when I got there. I just didn't have the grades to get into that school right away. Coming up where I grew up, man, school wasn't really priority. So a lot of bullshitting, hanging out, cutting class and cutting school, a lot of that stuff going on. I never really applied myself to the books until I actually realized when I was a junior going into my senior year, like right before the season was over, I realized that I needed good grades in order to go to a college that I actually wanted to go to. And so I had to do what I had to do to get my grades up and then transfer out so I could go to where I wanted to go.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Sibling. So sorry, Brian.
Now go
Sibling,
through.
what was the what sort of led you off the path of not going to school and stuff? Was there a particular reason? Was it school wasn't challenging enough for you? Was it the schooling environment, or was it other reasons?
Well, in high school, a lot of my friends were just hanging out. One of my older brothers was a blood member, and just having that influence around constantly. I live with him. So. It's kind of like that teetering the line between wanting to be a gangster and at the same time wanting to be an athlete. But I had a lot of friends that we just did a lot of things that we weren't supposed to do, and cutting classes and picking up chicks and bringing them. We just did a lot of things that we weren't. I wouldn't, I'll make sure I tell my kids now, because I coach high school now. So I always advise my kids, if you're going to have fun, just make sure you're doing the right thing, getting your work done, going to class. And there's nothing wrong with, having a little fun here and there. There's definitely, I had my fair share of fun growing up. So I would never tell a kid not to do what they want to do. But at the same time, to do what you want to do, to get where you want to be, you got to make sure you're taking care of the things that you got to take care of now, so that later it doesn't come back to bite you.
So are you, trustfully you are. Trustfully this is going to be a yes to this question, but based upon your position and what you do in your transition from your old to your current state, are you considered more of an influence, a positive influence to your peers and people in your sort of locality?
I would think so. I would hope so. And from my high school, we actually had another guy who made it to the NFL, but he only went to our high school for like a year for whatever issues he had coming up. But I still talk to him from time to time. Really cool dude. His younger brother is actually my younger brother's best friend, and they're the same age. And the brother that was in the NFL was I think a year older than me. So we have a lot of talented athletes that come out of our school, but that's pretty much it. The talented athletes, you never really hear about kids who are excelling because of academics. But I think that shift is starting to change. But in terms of being a positive influence, I think guys looked at us as, we kind of set the pace and paved the way for these other young guys coming up. That if they really want to achieve something, they can go out there and go get it. They just gotta put the time in and stay focused on what they want. And I still talk to a lot of young kids, and I still talk to a lot of the older guys, and it's always nice to hear, but it's also strange to hear when someone older than you, that you kind of grew up looking at, they kind of tell you they're looking up to you and what you're doing, even though they're the older ones, But I guess that just instills positivity and belief that you can really do anything that you want to do as long as you're dedicated and you're putting in the time, man. Good things can happen to anybody.
Oh, definite, man, definite.
Yeah, for real.
As a man thinketh, so it shall be.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So Aljo, like over here now, the MMA thing is taking off. Like it's becoming, especially since Conor McGregor and all that stuff. A lot of young kids are getting into it. And what kind of year did that start to happen over there? Because I know boxing used to be the thing. It kind of still is the thing in a lot of areas. But when did you guys over there realize that this MMA platform would be a thing? Like it was something you could do full time?
I never really looked at it like that. I'm not sure about the other guys who started doing the sport, but for me, just knowing that I wrestled for so long, I started wrestling in 10th grade. I started relatively late. I'm considered a late starter compared to a lot of these other kids who start as a youth. But I picked it up really fast. I just put in a ton of time, a ton of hours, a lot of private lessons and things like that. And just doing that, I realized, I just had a love for competition in terms of one-on-one combat. And if I was getting paid nothing, I wasn't getting paid to wrestle in high school. I wasn't getting paid in college, but I was beating the crap out of my body. And then I realized I could make some money doing something I love. I wasn't sure if I really wanted to be a teacher yet. After doing my student teaching, it's like you go out for one whole semester and you work at the elementary school level and or the high school or middle school, and just to see if this is something that you're really cut out to do. And doing that, I was like, I don't know if I'm really meant to be waking up at 6 o'clock every morning to just go and sit inside of a building and just teach like how to play sports all day. Like it's a fun gig. It's a great career. Don't get me wrong, but I just felt like I wanted something more out of my youth of my life in terms of I'm still young, I'm still active, I'm still mobile. I just want to get more mileage out of it while I can, instead of when I'm older, just being one of those guys who are like, because I see a lot of those guys, they're older and they're like, oh man, if that was around when I was back, I would have definitely did that. But that's the thing, it was around. Was the pay worth anything? No, but it definitely was around. So it's like, what? The pay's not all that great, but I enjoy this. I like the travel. I like the connections, networking, meeting people, and just getting out of my own comfort zone. I'm used to sitting in Uniondale, hanging in the hood all day. Now I'm going to places like Poland. I'm going to freaking Australia. I'm going to all these other places. You got the opportunity to go to Brazil. I've been to California, Kansas City, Missouri. It's a lifestyle, I don't get paid the greatest in my opinion, but especially for what I'm doing and putting my body through. But at the same time, there's nothing you could really trade the experience and the journey of doing something like this. And that's kind of the way I looked at it. I'm like, I could get paid something and be all right. And when shit really hits the fan, if I really need to work, I always have my degree to fall back on.
That's a great attitude to have. Definitely, that's a great attitude to have, man. I hope a lot of other fighters out there take note to that. See what I mean? The noble, why you noble?
Definitely. That's an excellent point. You raised in that last response, you raised an excellent point in regards to the physical trauma that fighters are going through and the pay. Two things I want to touch on is the Fighters Union, a bit of an update in regards to that, and also secondly, the Reebok deal. Let's work backwards. The Reebok deal, I've heard a lot of people, especially fighters, saying how it's hampered them tremendously in regards to their pay and stuff. Can you flesh that out a little bit more? I mean, has it harmed you in the same sort of way, and if so, how have you been able to sort of balance it out?
I just think, I've talked about this a lot. Just to put everything in perspective. In the very beginning of the sport, especially when I got to the UFC, I didn't really have any sponsors to begin with, but I knew the closer I got to the top 15, the top 10, the top 5, the more opportunities would come knocking. And that's essentially what happened. And when I did get my first chance to fight a ranked opponent and I submitted him in the 3rd round, they kind of took everything away in terms of the sponsorship avenue. And that kind of sucked. But now I got 2 sponsors that are still with me. Pure Spectrum, CBD Oil Company.